Hi guys, welcome back to Hairdryer Treatment. I'm absolutely buzzing to say I'm back with the ladies, back to talk about United and many other things as well, to be fair. But I want to start off by introducing the girls, as always. Absolute pleasure to be joined by them. Firstly, Emma, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm not bad, thank you. Literally just got home from work, so I'm buzzing to do this video.
Yeah, I'm guessing work's been tough. It's been tough for me, definitely getting back into the routine. But yeah, I always look forward to doing these videos. And Meg, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. I'm having I say a good week. It's only been Monday, but in terms of since we last spoke, I've been good.
Good to hear. Now, obviously, England have been playing this week. Rashford scoring, a lot of things going on. But I want to start with Marcus Rashford, MBE. What an achievement that is. I mean, Emma, I'll start with you. But when I saw the news, it's well deserved, isn't it?
Oh, 100%. Just what a guy. What a guy he is. He's 22 years old. He's just got a heart of gold, hasn't he? And it's just, I couldn't think of a better person to give it to. He wears his heart on his sleeve and he just wants to help. You know, a young lad at that age, footballing career, a really good footballing career, money in the bank, nice house, nice girlfriend. You think most footballers don't think about helping other people in those sort of situations. And Rashford is just cut from a different cloth. I think he just wants to help. And I'm just so happy for him. Absolutely buzzing for him.
Yeah, I'm buzzing. I mean, it's just, when you think footballers, there are too many negatives in the press nowadays, and it's just so refreshing to see a footballer being a true role model, what a footballer should be to the younger generation. I mean, Matt's put it there, the pride of Manchester. Meg, when you heard Rashford got an MBE, sum it up.
I was honestly just delighted for him, and I think you've seen it online, the amount, not just Manchester United fans of football are congratulating him. And I think when you look at football and you talk about footballers, and they do get a lot of negative press, a lot of eyes are on them. They are role models and heroes for a lot of people. To have somebody like that and for him to be at Manchester United, that's just an added bonus, really. But just delighted for him as a person, because I just think he's been through it and now he's there making a difference for the same kind of people that he once was. And that's just a beautiful thing to be able to do, to have been through such a tough time as a child, but then to be able to have that opportunity to give back. Absolutely delighted for him, and so deserved.
Definitely deserved. And like I say, it's just what seems so negative for the whole transfer window. I think it was refreshing for us to see that. And obviously, when I scored the penalty as well for England in the week. Have you watched much of England, girls? I'm going to touch on it because I know Jack Grealish has obviously been getting a lot of discussion, or should we say the lack of mention of Jack Grealish from Southgate. What's your thoughts on that? Do you think that genuinely there's something there between Southgate and Grealish? Does he just not like him? Because Grealish the other day was quality, and I felt like we lacked him in the second game, to be honest with you. I hope he starts the next game or at least gets some minutes. But Emma, what's your take on the whole Grealish Southgate thing?
Oh, I mean, you can't speculate. You have no idea what goes on behind closed doors. You've seen it at Manchester United at the moment. We don't know what goes on. So I don't like to speculate, but something's not okay. I don't think, I don't know. It's I don't want to say he doesn't like him, but maybe he just basically, just done. Yeah, it is so weird. It is really weird.
Meg, what's your take on it?
My only thing that I think what I'm putting it on is that I don't, obviously Grealish I think is an England fan favourite, because he is good and he's kind of earned his way into the team. He's not come from a big club. I know Aston Villa are a big Premier League club team, but he's not come from one of the big six. So I think he's quite an England fan favourite. My only thing I think that I can pin it on is that Southgate doesn't want him to get too big for his boots.
Mm-hmm.
I think that he is the main man. He is the main man at Aston Villa. He's not the main man at England, and I think that's probably that's the only thing I can think of, because he deserved, I think, to have started. How do you get man of the match then go to sit on the bench? He played that well. I think for me, if I played that well and then got dropped, we're having words.
I mean, I think
you deserve it.
Yeah, I think at international level, especially in these Nations League game, I think you do see a lot of rotation. So I think with the whole Grealish thing, I think maybe it's not as personal as we all make out, because like you say, normally in a club career, play great, and then you start the next game, like, it's not questionable. And if you don't start, there's something there. Internationally, I think you see a lot more rotation, whether it's like a protection thing, but maybe Villa don't want Grealish to play more than one, for example, because you got this, like you say, he's their main man. Maybe they want to protect his player a little bit. I know Harry Kane, Jose said he didn't really want him to play much, did he, as well, throughout this break? Maybe it's like a protection element, but I think it's the way he didn't praise him in the press conference for me. He went straight on to make.
He just skipped past it. Like, he didn't even like answer the question. He was like, "Yeah, it was all right. Carry on. Let me name drop somebody else."
However, Mason Mount, on the other hand, like, I was thinking, what? Like, how you just thought that? That's what tells me there's something there. Not necessarily in being dropped. Like I say, it could be a protection thing. Could just be a fact that he wants to rotate. Like Dean Henderson, for example, might start the next game. Might just be a rotation thing. But I think the fact that he couldn't big him up in, like you say, how well he played, and then he couldn't talk about him in the press conference, that made me feel a bit like, nah, there's something there. There's something there. Matt, thanks for joining in. We are going to discuss the women in a minute as well. We haven't forgotten you. But thoughts on Scholes temporarily taking charge of Salford City? Obviously, they sat their manager today. I mean, I'll start with you, Emma. Do you think that's a good role for Scholes to take up right now?
Do you know what? I'm happy for him. Do you know what? I think he'd be great as that temporary position. Do you know what? I just feel like the cats like to get a kind of like spotlight on them, don't they? And they're going to be watching his every move now, which that's the only thing that I feel sorry for him for, because I know that he'll be watched. Everything he does, every decision he makes, it's just going to be criticised. I just hope that he doesn't get disheartened. We've seen Ole bashed. I know it's completely different, types of clubs, but it's still, a big name in a football club. Do you know what? I'm happy for him, and I hope he does well in it. I know it's only a temporary position, but I hope he does well and succeeds in it.
Yeah, well, you all know my thoughts on Scholesy, hence I've asked you two first. I'll give mine in a minute. But Meg, Scholesy to Salford, is that a good move?
I think it's probably temporary for a reason to start with. But I've seen a lot of disgruntled Salford fans online, and some, to be fair, have said, Brown's, the way that the previous manager's style of play wasn't good enough. They haven't lost yet. So it's difficult. I don't follow them. I don't watch them. So I can't tell you their style of play and if I think it's any good or not. But the stats say that he hasn't lost. So it's difficult to be like, oh, he should have gone. But for me, I think if you're going to have somebody in like Scholes, he's obviously been around the team. He knows them. And I think he will be well respected as a manager by the players. If you've got Paul Scholes as your manager, you're going to respect him, aren't you? So fair play to him, good luck to him, but I think it will just be temporary. It won't obviously roll on.
No.
We'll see. We'll see how well he does. That's what I always say. I think Solskjær was temporary and then obviously got the job on the back of that bounce. So it's interesting. But yeah, I think you're right, mate. His experience, he's obviously well respected. And it's not like he's not jumping in at the deep end because it's only temporary. That kind of takes the pressure off him a little bit. I think in that role is more like just a caretaker, just to fill the gap. And if it works out, we'll see. But as a pundit, he's quite ruthless. We've seen that, and I think it's about whether he's got that. He never strikes me as a type of guy who will go on to be a manager with Scholes. I don't know why. It just doesn't strike me as a manager type.
No.
So I don't think long term it'll work. But I think definitely he's got experience. He definitely won't take any rubbish, and I think it'll be an interesting one to see how it pans out. But for the short term, why not try Paul Scholes, a massive player?
I think it depends on why they sacked the manager, because if there's like if there's something behind the scenes, then having someone like Scholes can settle it. I think because he can bridge the gap, can't he, between players and board. But yeah, I don't really get it, but I'm not making the decisions.
Whilst we're talking about managers, tied to the video, Ole In. You may have seen I was on United Stand yesterday, and we were discussing the fact that there's a lot of rumours that Pochettino has been lined up to replace Solskjær when he's sacked. Firstly, thoughts on Pochettino. Do you think that if Ole was sacked, I'm not sitting here saying I want him to be sacked or nothing like that, because you all know my thoughts on Ole Gunnar Solskjær, I'm Ole In. But if that does happen, say for example, form continues the way that it has done, time runs out, he is sacked. Do you fancy Pochettino to be the guy to take over? And I'll start with you, Meg, on this one. Is Pochettino the right guy? Because he hasn't won anything if you think about it.
This is what I'm going to say. For everyone who says, well, I never won anything, I want them to come with the same energy about Pochettino. You can't be sitting here saying Ole's never won anything, he shouldn't be manager, and then want Pochettino in so badly on the basis of what? Because what has he won? So if you're going to give it to Ole about not having won anything, then I want to hear the same energy when you go in for Pochettino, because you've got to keep it balanced. Otherwise, you're talking a whole load of bull. That's my first thought on, not my opinion, but on what other people say and think. Pochettino is a very good manager. I think he's a very good manager. I think the way that he took Tottenham to the places that they went to in terms of competing in the title race for the Prem,
Saeed's
and
here. Mr. Pochettino's here. Saeed is in the chat.
and then taking them to the Champions League final, having not spent really, he didn't invest in that squad because he couldn't. That tells me he's a good manager, but he didn't win on either of those occasions. So, like I said, if people are going to say, well, Ole never won anything, I want them to come with the same energy about Poch, but I don't think I'll hear it. I do, however, think that he is a fantastic manager and a fantastic coach.
I think there's a stat, I think Ricky said this yesterday actually. Spurs had only got into the Champions League once or twice before. Pochettino got them into the Champions League 4 seasons in a row, got them into a final as well. Like you say, with a lack of investment. So he's obviously a very good coach. I don't think there's any doubt in that there. And he didn't have the backing. You look at Ole's situation at the minute, he hasn't had much backing as well. And for me, I mean, I'll talk about it in a minute, but I think it's just a vicious cycle, and I think changing the manager isn't going to solve it. But Pochettino, Emma, do you think he's suitable for United?
I just can't look further than Ole at the moment. I just find it ridiculous that it even has to be spoken about. Like, we're going to replace Ole. Like, why? Like you said, it's going to be a vicious cycle. Why are we sacking managers every 2 seasons for them to not be backed? Yeah, it's going to be a bed of roses. The new manager will be a bed of roses to start with. You know, the team will have spirit. You know, we'll win a few games. Everyone will be on a high. But then it will start going downhill when transfer windows is open. He wants players. He's not backed. Fans will be going mad again. He will getting the blame. He'll be a scapegoat. So what is the point? What is the point going for another manager? I just don't see the point in it. And like you said, he hasn't won anything either. So people that are saying you don't want Ole because he hasn't won anything, then why do you want him? It just infuriated me that we're actually sat here talking about Ole being sacked, because it's just ridiculous. How much like the club has fallen is just stupid, and the fact is that are we going to become a club that changes its manager every 2 seconds? Like, who are we? That's not Manchester United.
Yeah, I do. Look, I'll sit here and I'll say I'm Ole In, I am, but at the same time I understand why people criticise, and I think tactically Ole is yet to prove himself. I genuinely feel that, but I sympathise with him because of the lack of backing he's had from the board. We know he had certain targets, we didn't get them. And until we see his new signings, and we weren't all over the moon by Cavani, but we've signed Cavani, we back Cavani, and hope he does well. And until we see his signings, and this next run of games is crucial for me, for Ole's future. I said the other day I can see Ole being sacked, and that's not because I want him to. It's just that form needs to drastically improve because of the running of the games that we have got. But what we're going to do, we're going to sack a manager, and this has happened last few years. The new manager comes in, that new manager bounce that we have where the players play well, they perform for that run of games. They get comfortable, they slip off again. That manager doesn't get back to the transfer market. That manager then gets sacked. A new manager comes in. The same group of players, again, play for the first few games, and then they dip again when they get comfortable. That's what it feels like we're in at the minute, this vicious cycle. And until that board backs the manager, I can't see that changing, no matter who's in charge. And that's how I feel at the minute regarding Ole Gunnar Solskjær. I back him. I feel for him because he hasn't got his targets in the transfer window. So that was a chance where we could take advantage and try and narrow the gap. And at the moment, we're looking like we're falling further away because of the business that obviously everyone else did in the transfer window. And I just feel that Ole is the front of it, isn't he? And like I say, he deserves criticism. I think tactically, he needs to prove himself. I agree with that completely. So he's in the chat, and I agree with that aspect tactically. Against the lesser teams or the teams that sit back, we need to work out how do we play through them teams. We need to sort the midfield out because Bruno, for me, is playing far too high. But that has to come from the coach and the manager. They have to be told instructions. I say Wolves are always an example that I use. That they're a team that every single player, whether you're a sub or you're starting, even if they come on, they know their jobs, they know their role, they know how to play in the system. I watch us, I don't get the same vibe. I don't feel like we do know our roles and we do know our system. And that has to come on to Ole and the coaching staff. And I say and the coaching staff because I think they deserve criticising as well. Carrick, McKenna, are they good enough? Because tactically, like I say, we need to improve. And I'm hoping that we do improve over these next few games. But in terms of the next few games, we've got Newcastle, obviously, our next game. Then we've got PSG, Chelsea, Leipzig, Arsenal. That's the next 5 games.
I think it'd be very difficult if we don't hit the ground running against Newcastle to see how we fare after that. That Newcastle game is so important. Yeah. Not just because we need points. It's so important to go into that run of 4 games that we've got after that, being able to come off the back of a win and a good performance. It'll be difficult is an understatement to go into that Newcastle. Well, come out of that Newcastle game, perhaps having only scraped it. The only way you can scrape it is if you score like a last gasp winner and you get that like buzz. I think even though if we score one of them, I don't think it'd be a massive buzz because it's not the kind of like same vibe when you play Newcastle in if it was like a Man City or a Liverpool. If you get a last gasp winner against Newcastle, in your head you're thinking we've literally scraped that. Whereas if you get it against like a big team, you can go wild off a last minute winner. But if you come out of that game and you're behind or you've gone behind and you haven't played well, difficult to see how we'd fare in the next 4 games for me.
Yeah, it's hard to disagree with that. I mean, Saeed said here the reason why he's poaching is because he knows he'll improve the players that we've got, and it's a big cue. Look at what he did at Tottenham with the money he spent. I agree, but then I think you look at the tail end just before he got sacked, Pochettino, and they were awful Spurs, and I mean awful. So that's what I'm saying. Like I think Ole deserves the time with his new signings as well. Like I say, they're not the targets that he wanted, of course, but I think he deserves the time, and he needs to prove himself tactically. I'm not saying that we need to see improvements in the performances, especially against the teams that sit in. And if we don't see improvements, then of course, I've already said I could see him getting sacked this next run. I think is crucial. I don't want him to be sacked though. I think he deserves the time because we've seen that quick fix of just keep changing the manager after our players, and I do blame our players' mentality a lot of the time because I feel like they get comfortable after the new manager has come in, and then they dip again. And for me, that is a mentality thing within the squad as well. So that's what I'm saying. It's more than the manager. Is Ole the guy long term? Probably not. But is he the guy right now? I think he is.
Do you know? I will ask a question to the pair of you. What is long term? Because I think we were very blessed as Manchester United, and I think Arsenal fans will say the same. We were very blessed to have the 2 managers that we had for such a long time. You hardly see that replicated now. So what is a long-term manager now? Is it somebody that comes in for 5-6 years? Okay, Klopp, I can see probably being at Liverpool for a while. I can see that. But other teams, Chelsea, managers in, out, still competing at the top. City, managers in, out, still competing at the top. What is a long-term manager now? Because I don't see that in the game anymore.
Well, Brian Knight says 6 seasons. Someone else says 18 months. But United, it seems that way at the minute, to be fair. But 6 seasons, I think, is a fair amount. 5-6 years. Would you say long term now in the current climate of football? Because, like you say, modern day football, it is very much sacking managers, isn't it? It happens a lot. Unfortunately, you don't have long term like Fergie, for example. That doesn't happen anymore. But my dad says keep your hands off Nuno. Nuno is a big Nuno fan.
You tell Sean you can have Nuno and we'll have Nuno.
There you go, yeah. Yeah, deal. What in terms of managers though, we've already said Pochettino is the guy, isn't the guy. For me, and I said this yesterday, the only reason we're massively being linked with him is because he's a big name and he's free.
Yeah.
Like,
but then why is he free? If he's that good, why is he free?
It's a good question. But like say if Ole was sacked, and like I said, I don't want that to happen, but I'm just saying, if Ole was sacked, who would you see being the perfect replacement for him? And I think this is an interesting question because, like I say, not many managers are free. So it means you're trying to get them from a club. But who do you think suits us best? And like I say, I don't think just keep changing the manager is going to change anything. But if we are in that situation, would Pochettino be the number one name on your lips, or is there someone else that you maybe think would do the job better?
I just don't know. For me, I just
hate
don't.
looking at managers. That's why I hate it. My Twitter name's Solskjær. I don't want it to change. Like, keep it that way.
So, I mean, I'm not even thinking that far ahead because right now I'm backing Ole. Ole is our manager, and I just find it all stupid. So I don't even want to think about it.
I agree. And Ole is Mr. United. You know, I know you can't be
Sentimental.
too much focusing on. Yeah, that's the word I was after. Sentimental. You can't be too sentimental. But he's Mr. United. Like I say, I felt, especially when we went on that run, which was an incredible run. Like, I felt like we were getting United back. Like, we were playing attractive football. And yeah, we haven't been playing well of late. And someone asked me earlier what I think about Rashford. We started off talking about him. Rashford, post-lockdown, he wasn't playing very well. Started this season not very well. But I thought for England, he looked fairly sharp. He looked dangerous. I thought against Spurs, when we started before the red card, I thought we looked good going forwards and Rashford looked sharp. And then he was kind of, his effect was dampened by the red card. We didn't have much of an attack after that. So I'd say Rashford, I'm hoping that he's got a bit of confidence there after scoring early in the season, and we see the best from him. But like I say, Ole needs to get the best out of the players. The coaches need to do better because our midfield is all over the place. We've seen what our defending is like, and the coaches have to be mentioned. Some people are saying Bielsa, but that's saying Big Sam. He'd improve us defensively. I have no doubt about that. So I don't know. Bielsa though is a good shape. Bielsa is a good shape, but would he come from Leeds to us? I don't know, and that's the situation we're in right now.
You have to go into hiding, I think,
because he's in a project there at Leeds that is growing. And you're looking at us struggling. I guess it depends whether he wants that challenge, doesn't it? It's based on him because he's in a good place at the minute. Mark says Eddie Howe. I remember when we were linked, and Arsenal were linked, I'm pretty sure, with Eddie Howe at some point. A good young coach, nevertheless. But let's talk about the Newcastle game. Someone mentioned earlier, should Maguire be sacked? Not sacked. Should Maguire be dropped? Thoughts on that? Next game, defensively, because you've seen how shocking we are. I believe Boye is just a niggle and he should be back fit, fingers crossed.
Yeah.
What centre-back partnership would you start against Newcastle? I'll start with you, Em, on that one. What would you like to do?
Well, I've said because Maguire's had poor performances, you know, regardless that he's captain, I don't care that you're captain. No one's too big to be dropped, and I think he needs to be dropped just for a few games, just because his performances lately just haven't been that great. So I would drop him, and you know, maybe try the Lindelof Bailly partnership. It is a hard one. Like I always rooting for Menge to come in, but I know that's not going to happen. He's not going to be thrown straight in. So yeah, it'd have to, Menge and Bailly. Yeah, exactly. Menge would be for me, but I just don't think Ole would put him straight in.
Yeah, he wouldn't, would he?
So I think it would be Lindelof and Bailly.
Meg, what about you? Who would you start?
I think we'll see Maguire in that lineup.
I
think we'll definitely see him. I think had we not had the international break, there might have been a change. But I think because we've had the international break and we've been away and then we're coming back, I feel like Maguire will definitely be in there. And I think he'll still partner Bailly. Oh, no, actually, I think he'll go Lindelof.
Lindelof to come back in?
Yeah, I think Lindelof.
I mean,
I think it'll go.
We lost 6-1. It was 6-1, wasn't it? I tried to forget about it. We lost 6-1. You cannot play with the same lineup. For me, he needs to make changes. And whether that's just to scare the dressing room, give them the kick up the arse that they need, you have to make changes. Ole has got to make some big calls, and he's got some big calls to make. Personally, I agree. I think Maguire will still start.
Just throwing it to you girls, what do you think about Pogba with his recent performances? Do you think he should be dropped and Van de Beek in his place?
I think so. I think he should be. Do I think he will be? No. I think he played for France obviously yesterday. I still think he'll play for us. Has he been playing well? No. So I genuinely think that he should be dropped. Van de Beek for me has earned the right to start, but he will play, and that's the thing that like I mentioned earlier, Ole needs to prove himself. But that's another thing. I think he needs to be more ruthless, and we haven't seen that from him. Maybe we will see it. I think we need to. I mean, Meg, what's your thoughts on Paul Pogba?
I think he'll drop him. I think he'll start Van de Beek. I think his time is I think Van de Beek has had his time to be on the bench and coming onto a game. I think we'll actually get an opportunity to see him start. Be interesting to see if we see Tellez start as well, because I'm not sure whether they'll change that with Shaw. But I definitely think Van de Beek will start.
Do you think he'll go? I mean, this is a genuine suggestion. 5 at the back, so he'll play 3. Luke Shaw as the left centre back, Wan-Bissaka as a right wing back, Tellez as a left wing back. I think that could be a way that he's going to fit them in. But then you're thinking, so we're going to play 5 defenders, 1 or 2 holding midfielders against Newcastle away. But for me, that is Ole protecting himself and his team, because we've been conceding obviously far too many goals. It's kind of shutting up shop. But that's not what we want to see as United fans. And I worry about that as well, because Teller's on the left-hand side, I think, yeah, he's obviously one that bombs on. But on the right-hand side, Wan-Bissaka, for me, a wing-back, that's not his forte. I know he used to be a winger and whatnot, but going forward, Wan-Bissaka, for me, isn't good enough to play that wing-back role. But 5 at the back, how would you feel if that was the way that we played?
I mean...
go on, Em.
I was just saying, like, I mean, if he does that, it is just showing that he is addressed of we are leaking goals, and he wants us to not leak goals. If I'll go for it, if he wants to do that, you know, I'm all for that. Like you said, though, Aaron Wan-Bissaka is an issue for us. Him going forward, he'll be leaving that space. He's not great, is he, going forward? So that would be the only worry of having 5 at the back. Yeah.
What about Williams? I mean, for me, he's not going to drop Wan-Bissaka and put Williams in. Wan-Bissaka is our starting right back, and I think that's the way it'll stay.
Yeah.
But I think Williams, to be fair, could be quite suited to a wing back role. I think he's fairly decent going forward. He's fearless, isn't he? And I think maybe, but defensively, Williams, we know, has to improve. But it's going to be interesting to see how he fits them all in. But for me, Pogba, like I say, he started for France in the week. I still think he will start. But has he been playing good enough? Definitely not. He's been poor. Has he been the only one who's been poor? No, he hasn't. But I think across the board, a rocket needs to be fired by Ole, doesn't it? Something needs to happen. Someone needs to be dropped. They needs to make a stand, because losing 6-1, like I say, you can't continue with that at all. Definitely not. But in regards to the title of the video, I'll put Ole in, because I had a feeling that you two girls were still Ole in. I'm guessing you're Ole in. But by the end of these 5 games, and I'll repeat them: Newcastle, PSG, Chelsea, Leipzig, Arsenal. Hand on heart, do you think Ole is still going to be in charge after these 5 games? And I'll start with you, Em.
I mean, I want him to, but I've just got this sickly feeling, because, do you know what, those games are tough games, and our team on paper is good enough, but with their recent performances, you know, their shit attitude that they've got, you know, where they just can't be bothered, I'm just worried that they're not going to perform, and then Ollie's head's going to be on the line, because I feel like the board are just waiting for any excuse now to get rid of him. And these next games are going to be a massive test for him. So if we don't pull any wins out of these games, then I've got a sick feeling that he's going to be gone.
Meg?
No, I don't think he will.
That's horrible, isn't it? Because we're all sat here saying we want him to stay. But that is the mutual feeling, isn't it, at the moment, that I can't see us getting through these games. But you know what? I'm going to sit here and I'm going to spin it on a positive. We've had the international break, which we said could either be the worst possible thing. But after a 6-1 loss, I think it's the best possible thing. Build a bit of confidence. Obviously, players scoring an international break. Rashford, for example, Pogba playing well on the international break. Yeah. Coming back in, Boyer playing well, international break as well. I think we could take some confidence going into this. New signings, Teller's coming in, Cavani, obviously Martial isn't going to be fit, so I'd be interested to see what happens there. But for me, I think it's going to be a mixed bag. I'm not sitting here saying we're going to win all of them games, because I don't think we're going to win all of them games. However, Newcastle, can we beat Newcastle? Yeah. If we turn up, yes, of course we can. PSG, difficult one. Chelsea, can we beat them if we turn up? Genuinely, I believe, yes, we can. So I think we could win at least 2 of them games. I think Ole stays in his job. But I think the Newcastle game is what it all hinges on. Because if we start poorly in that game, confidence, like we've already mentioned, is shot again. Mentality-wise, we'll struggle. If we lose to Newcastle, then I do fear. But I think if we get a good start, and I fully believe we will beat Newcastle, and I'm putting my neck on the line here, because the way we played against Spurs, obviously, is worrying. But we can't be any worse than that, surely. We can't be any worse than that. Newcastle have had a good start to the season as well. Let's not forget that. Made some good signings. But in my head, we cannot be any worse. We're going to be better. And I'm just hoping that we beat Newcastle, beat Newcastle, and then get a bit of positivity, a bit of momentum to take. John, thank you for the super chat. He says, you think Ole will go 5-3-2, but sat by Christmas? I genuinely think if we do go that 5-3-2, like I mentioned, I think that is Ole then preserving it. It's kind of like a ticking time bomb. So we're going to be, like I say, protecting, defending, but we're not going to be scoring many goals. Fans are not going to be happy with that style of football. We've seen it happen before. But Cavani, I'm not sure if he can or can't play against Newcastle. I'm not sure yet.
Sure.
I'm not sure yet either. Obviously, something to do with his quarantine and whatnot. If Cavani can't play, do you go with Igalo?
I think
with that.
Oh, sorry, Meg. You
I was just saying with the 3-5-2, that too does solve your problem of not having like a Martial, because you can play like your Rashford and Greenwood together,
yeah,
and go with pace up top. I do just quickly that international break. I think it will do us good. I say no in terms of Ollie still being here after those 5 games, but if we come back from that international break like I hope we do, then Ollie will still be there after those 5 games, because the players have done it before and they will do it again. They've beaten Arsenal, they've beaten Chelsea, they've beaten PSG with backs against the wall. So that's 3 of the teams that I'm saying that if you in the past we've been there, we've been backs against the wall and we've come out with points.
Yeah.
Newcastle is probably the easiest game out of those 5 in terms of on paper. So you'd say that you can win that. You should win that one. So I said no, but on terms of if players come back and perform, then he will still be here. That's just what I wanted to add.
Yeah, Cavani's his first game apparently will be the PSG game. I've read what Mark's put here as well. I've read this as well, that Manchester United were trying to sort some way of alleviating the quarantine period. I doubt that would be possible, to be honest, but apparently we were looking into that. But Cavani for PSG, but obviously Martial will be able to play against PSG because he's been in Champions League. Obviously his ban is only in the league, so Martial will be back fit for that one. So I fully expect Martial to start, to be honest. But it'd be interesting to see what happens with Cavani. I just want to end what we said we will do, discussing the ladies' team. Meg, obviously a big win against Tottenham. Not the best performance, but a big win. I mean, what were your thoughts on the ladies this week?
I think the game against Tottenham are the women's team, the Spurs women's team is very tenacious in terms of they are backs against the wall. They will sit in and defend. Because they've been in the WSL, this is their 2nd season, so they will sit there and defend against you. So we did get the goal eventually. It's one of those ones where you come away and it could have been. It might not have been a win, and you've pulled it out, and you've got yourself 3 points. So I think going in that mentality, you've got 3 points, you take it, you get out of there, you've done that away game now. Wait till they come back to our ground. It's a different game then. But I think it wasn't like an outstanding 3 points, but it is 3 points nonetheless.
Yeah. It says United ladies are on fire. Obviously, new signings, Heath, Press played. What you thought to them? Obviously, the little assist there, was Press? No, Heath for the assist, wasn't it? But like I said, I didn't play well. My mate Ash Neville played, should have been sent off possibly as well. I saw that tackle that she did quite late on. But yeah, they obviously won. They've had a good start. Women have got 10 points from 4 games.
They have, and the next 5 games for the women are crucial as well. So they've got West Ham, and then they've got Everton in the cup, then they've got Arsenal, Man City, and then Man City again.
Yeah,
they're huge, and just like Manchester, the men's team, that first game against West Ham and respectively against Newcastle for the men, if they've got to hit the ground rolling on that first game to then definitely put yourself in contention for the next 4. Come off the back of a loss in that first game, and you're not going to go well in the next 4. But
it's like what we're saying about the men's, isn't it? Similar thing, the confidence building momentum from that first result. When you've got a block of games like that, it's important you get off on a good start. It's a difficult one. But yeah, the ladies have been flying. I must admit, I've been impressed. Started the season really well. Like I said, didn't play too well, but they got the 3 points, which is some of last season you probably said they'd miss out on. So yeah, they've done well, really well. And I find them really exciting to watch. We talk about negativity around the men's team at the minute. Go and check out the ladies' team. It's definitely refreshing to see some attacking football and some goals being scored. John, thank you for the super chat. He says, can you see us going back for Dembele in January, Mr. Glass? Emma, do you think we'll go back and put Usman Dembele in January?
I don't think we will. It was a panic, trying to get someone. I think we were just wanting to get anyone. So I don't think we'll go back for him in January. The only thing I want us to do in January is get a centre back. And if we don't get that in January, I'm going to be absolutely pissed off.
Yeah. I think we need to invest, don't we, in January, but we said that about the summer. So we'll wait and see. But I'm sick of transfers for me. Mute that word. It's not allowed to be mentioned at the minute because I'm sick of talking about it, sick of being disappointed. But in terms
Yeah.
of Dembele, do I want him at United? I'll be honest, no, I don't. So I hope we don't go back in for him. Adam, thank you for the super chat. It says 264 in the chat, so hit the like button, peeps. He is spot on. Thank you for that, Adam. Please hit the like button if you're enjoying the content. We appreciate it. And of course, if you are new, hit that sub button as well. Super Painful says, thoughts on Lauren James? She's easily my favourite player in the team. She's my favourite player as well. Absolute baller. Really exciting prospect. Can't wait to see her playing again, to be fair. She Devils is in the chat and they said they like our hoodies, so I'm going to give that a shout out because check out the hoodies.
Yay!
We're all matchy today. Loving it, and obviously Jorty from the United Stand, really appreciate you helping out with the logo as well. Absolutely love them. Thank you for that, guys. This has been a fantastic show. It's been a short one today. We are back on Wednesday, joined by Luke Chadwick. I'm really excited for that one. A lot of questions to ask him. If there's anything that you guys want to ask, just drop us a tweet as well, and we'll of course ask your questions. Thank you, Prince, for the super sticker. Appreciate that. But it's been a great show as always. I love chatting to the girls. We could talk all night about football, can't we? But Emma, thanks for coming on. Just give people a shout where they can find your channel as well.
You can find my YouTube channel, That United Family, and you can also find me on Twitter, @EmmaEdgar_.
Love that. Go and check it out. Some great content over there. Amazing guests. A lot of content I've noticed as well. A lot of videos going out daily, and I love that. A lot of videos, working really hard. So go and give them a sub. They deserve it. And then of course we've got the lovely Meg. Meg, give people a shout out. Where can they find you?
You can find me at Megan Can with an underscore. You can find me on here as well.
Brilliant. Go and follow Meg. Go and check out all the socials. Again, a lot of content on there.
You can follow the football journey as well because I'm back playing football this season. So just a quick update. We drew 1-1 yesterday in possibly the most frustrating game for a while. But I'm FA Cup weekend this weekend. So a bit of FA Cup magic, hopefully.
All the best, Meg. All the best. Go and score. So last time I said you were going to score, you did score. So fingers crossed that actually works again. But England are back on Wednesday as well. We'll finish our stream just before the England game, so you will not miss a thing. So please come and check us out. Talking to Luke Chadwick should be really interesting. Take care, guys. Hit the like, hit the sub button, drop a comment on the video afterwards if I have missed you in the chat. We don't mean to. I will definitely respond there. All the girls, check out the comments. Until Wednesday, have a good one. Keep smiling, stay positive, and we'll see you very, very soon.